Hey everybody, this is Cody Fairless-Lee, and welcome to my top 20 best movies of 2017.
Bitch, please!
Finally, for once, I could talk about all of my favorite movies of the year in one, that's right, one video, as long as it's under 45 minutes. This year I talk about the 20 movies that made my year in the same video, with only 2 honorable mentions. For Great Wall, where I dare you not to be blown away by the breathtaking imagery and intense style of action, but it does feel boring and slow once in a while. And Dunkirk, which has good visuals, a great cast, and Christopher Nolan knows how to work an IMAX camera, but there were moments when I yawned big time, and the gunshot sounds were really loud in IMAX 70mm film. An aspiring Oscar contender it is, though to me it's not as good as Interstellar. With those out of the way, all to do now is to remind you all of a spoiler alert. Some of these reviews do contain spoilers when necessary, so you have been warned. Without further ado, let's count down the best of 2017.
Alright, let's go.
Number 20, The Mummy.
Welcome to a new world of gods and monsters.
Now I know what you're thinking, a new classic Universal monster-themed cinematic universe called Dark Universe got off to a horrible start. While it did awful for critics, audiences, and the box office, I liked this movie, and it could arguably make one forget about that dumb Brandon Fraser trilogy. This reboot thankfully has no Scarab Beetles to haunt me, but it's still a scary movie, especially if you saw it in IMAX 3D. Aside from Russell Crowe as Jekyll and Hyde, other noteworthy performances include Jake Johnson stealing the show again after Jurassic World, and more importantly, Sophia effin' Boutella. People complained about the shoehorned plot points to set up the universe, though the only moment I thought was shoehorned into the movie was the fight between Nick Morton and Dr. Jekyll turned into Mr. Hyde. I get that Jekyll is like the Nick Fury of this universe, but it felt kinda rushed and it took the focus away of what the story is supposed to be about. Still, how can jump scares and scenes like these not give you the chills?
Hey! You better come in the room!
Also, how can Sophia Boutella moments like these not make you horny?
You will thank me. I promise.
Seriously, how is a movie like this hated and lost $95 million? I guess the Dark Universe will get cancelled, with one sign of that being the removal of the Bride of Frankenstein remake from its planned Valentine's Day 2019 release. And besides, Dracula Untold is better than this, yet it also tried and failed to start the universe. They say third time's the charm on a lot of things, so if we're lucky, that will be the case here in another couple of years.
Come on, Bale. Where's your sense of adventure? Well, that's just great, Nick! That's just great!
Number 19, Geostorm.
Thanks to a system of satellites, we can control our weather.
A political sci-fi thriller losing $100 million does not sound good at all. But for what it's worth, the movie is campy, impressive on a visual level, and reminds us about the dangers of climate change. Unfortunately, despite mentioning that Jerry Bruckheimer helped with reshoots, his name nor his production company were given any credit. Other parts I didn't like about the movie were the frozen deaths of bikini girls in Rio, how long it took for everybody to see the movie, and am I the only one who knew that Ed Harris is the bad guy who turned the Dutch boy system into a weapon? Not that there's anything wrong with him, but he seems to be typecast as the bald-headed villain, so the so-called twist in the third act was not that surprising. But on the bright side, listen to the voice of a daughter of Gerard Butler's character because she sounds exactly like Sarah from The Crow. Seriously, when you listen to her narrate, and if you're a fan of The Crow like I am, she'll remind you of poor Sarah. This disaster movie may have been a disaster for most, but it's something I would definitely keep watching every once in a while at home.
You realize you're committing treason?
Oh, yeah, I kidnapped the president. I've stolen state secrets. Yeah, anything I'm forgetting, honey?
Honey.
Barrier.
Number 18, The Dark Tower.
I do not aim at my hand. He who aims with his hand has forgotten the face of his father. I aim with my eye.
First off, an apology. I don't know that the movie was neither in 3D nor IMAX, but when I did my top 20 most anticipated movies of 2017 videos, I assumed it would. But I did see in 4DX. It was my third experience in that format, by the way, so expect the first two to be mentioned soon. A continuation of Stephen King's 8-book magnum opus has some frills, scares, and visuals, though obviously it's not as good as I had hoped. I liked it, but I could see why people hated it. Newbies thought it was incomprehensible, and fans of the books found the film unfaithful to said books. Well, that's what happens when you don't adapt the first book in the series, and instead make a 95-minute movie sequel to all 8 of them. Wait, wasn't the king himself said to be one of the producers? Hollywood and the internet said he would, but I don't see his name in the credits. Other complaints from me include the torturing of kids to destroy the tower, and Jose Zuniga as a role in this. Why, is that a bad thing? If you used to watch CSI and remember the episode where he makes life hell for a 14-year-old boy for killing his younger brother, then you know you hate him. Well, okay, the whole first act isn't really good. Sure, it's an action-packed movie with terrific acting from Idris Elba and Matthew McConaughey, but I will say this. If a planned TV show and movie sequel get cancelled, then hopefully one day I can actually adapt the 8 books into movies, because when you think about it, an epic 8-book series sounds like a potential blockbuster Harry Potter film franchise, but more adult and with a bit of a horror genre. All hail the Crimson King.
I cannot shoot with my hand. I shoot with my mind. I do not kill with my gun. I kill with my heart.
Number 17, The Boss Baby.
But as I drifted off to sleep, something my parents said got me thinking. Where do babies come from?
Coming from someone who doesn't want to have kids one day and actually prefers puppies over babies, I was downright entertained by Alec Baldwin's performance, the 3D, Tobey Maguire's narration, Steve Buscemi as a creepy anime villain outside of Randall from the Monsters Inc. franchise, and how I wish Puppy Co was real because it's got puppies hanging on balloons, a mechanical puppy bull ride, and puppy jousting. But just one has to wonder how the hell can babies at Baby Corp go through this type of operation while the parents are having sex. The logic within this movie throughout doesn't make sense, but it's still a funny and clever animated comedy.
So this is where babies come from?
Where'd you think? The Cabbage Patch? Magic fairies?
No, my parents told me that.
What? Oh, no. It's disgusting.
Yeah, it didn't sound right to me either.
Number 16, Captain Underpants, the first epic movie. The subtitle alone does sound like there should be more. While I'm not against that idea, I wouldn't hold my breath. Still, this whackfest of an animated kids flick has comedy, some charm to boot, an epic sock puppet scene that must not be ignored, and rotten potatoes. Kevin Hart and Thomas Middleditch are mostly convincing as 4th graders, Ed Helms is funny as the titular hero, Nick Kroll hilariously almost sounds like the douche he voiced from Sausage Party, and Jordan Peele is a suck-up little white boy. Though the villain does get away in that final moment before the credits roll is a little rushed, this is a movie that those who read the books as kids and even grown-up DreamWorks animation fans can enjoy. If you're wondering how it did at the box office, there's no worry because with a budget of just $38 million, it's apparently the second cheapest DWA movie to make behind Wallace and Gromit's $30 million feature. Now that will help the troubling studio.
Hey, alright, good for you, pal. Now put on some clothes, you weirdo.
No way! I fight for truth, justice, and all that is pre-shrunk and cottony, for I am...
Captain Underpants! The origin issue.
Number 15, Ghost in the Shell.
Repeat, all patrolling air units be advised.
This is Major. I'm on site.
My first anime-based live-action movie to see was originally supposed to be in one of my most anticipated of 2017 videos, but I cut it off from there to make room, and I wasn't entirely sure if I wanted to see the movie or not back then with The Boss Baby. Seriously, has Hollywood ever made a groundbreaking live-action movie based on anime crap? I didn't think so. And while this movie earned mixed reviews and lost $60 million, it's better than what most people thought of it, and it's no Last Airbender nor Dragon Ball Evolution. That right there is saying something. The visuals are amazing, like Tron Legacy amazing, and the action is pretty sweet. Will the film industry ever make a beloved anime-based live-action blockbuster like video game movies? Only time will tell. Well, this 3D sci-fi mystery flick is a start.
They created me, but they cannot control me.
Number 14, Cars Free.
Hey, Jackson Storm, right? Great race today.
Wow, thank you, Mr. McQueen. You have no idea what a pleasure it is for me to finally beat you.
Oh, thanks. Wait, hang on, did you say meet or beat?
I think you heard me.
The third in what looks like it'll be the final installment in Pixar's so-called Black Sheep franchise, it makes it hard for me to decide which Cars movie I liked the best, as they all get a 7 out of 10 rating for me. The first movie had a simple story with important life lessons for the famous and the want-to-be famous. The second movie had an epic spy tale with fan-favorite Mater at the forefront. And this movie tells a relatable story about getting old, while reminding all of us that we will die one day. All that said, I didn't see this in IMAX because North America would only show it in 2D in that format, but I saw it in 40x 3D, and seeing it on home video is not the same, though it's still fun to watch for sure. It's not my first 40x experience, but more on that later. My question about Mater is that while the ending of Part 2 seemed to make his life a little better and that he and Holly Shiftwell will date, why has nothing changed for him in this movie? If that confusing flaw isn't enough for you, some unknown actor replaced Michael Keaton as the arrogant chick Hicks from the first movie, and the rest of the end credits after the first song it plays has no feel-good song to follow it. Very unusual for a Cars movie on that part. Despite all that, Part 3 is a feel-good fun movie for all ages, and one you may even relate to. Just try not to choke up over the late Paul Newman's outtake voiceover work from Part 1 being used for the dog cuts and flashback scenes.
Hud saw something in you that you don't even see in yourself. Are you ready to go find it? Yes, sir.
Number 13, The Emoji Movie.
That's my home! Textopolis. Here, each of us does one thing, and we have to nail it every time.
9% on Rotten Tomatoes, My Hairy Sack. Sure, most people will say it's an unfunny cash grab ripoff of instant classics like Wreck-It Ralph, the Lego Movie, and Inside Out, but I really hope the Hey moviegoers will give this colorful flick another watch. It has an all-star voice cast, a fun story, some twists, and even has BS like internet trolls, and spam has living beings inside the phone. The sad part about the hate this movie has been getting is not just the fact that it might be the lowest rated big studio animated flick only a year after Ice Age Collision Course, but director Tony Leondis said his inspiration for this movie was from Toy Story. So what the hell went wrong? You got T.J. Miller as a protagonist for once, Maya Rudolph, who nails voicing her anime characters, becomes a smiling psychopath, Sofia Vergara as a flamenco dancer emoji, an uncredited Rob Riggle as an ice cream emoji, and yes, Patrick Stewart as poop. With such a fun world in Textopolis, amazing animation, some cute cat emojis, a funny kitten video on YouTube, and an overused yet still important lesson on being yourself, and this is a very, very, very underrated family movie. Don't believe me? Most of the people in the audience, including the friend I saw the movie with, clapped at the end. Suck on that, critics.
Sorry, emoticons! I hate knocking over the elderly here. Let me help,
Oh, my colon!
Number 12, Ferdinand.
People think they got you all figured out based on how you look. But it's not that simple. Especially when it comes to me. I'm a little more complex. Sorry, I almost killed you! Ow!
These movies from Blue Sky may be aimed mostly at kids, but this adaptation of the classic book is a little more emotional than you would expect. Mostly considering the fact that bulls are killed in the bullfights and those who don't end up in the slaughterhouse, so they die either way. Some of the filler to make it feature length, like the annoying German horses and the dance-off, are completely unnecessary, but when you move past that, Ferdinand is a family-friendly adventure that even adults can have fun with and eventually be moved by the ending. The colors are beautiful, John Cena was great, the rest of the voice cast is good, and there are obviously some important lessons to learn along the way.
Don't judge a bull by his cover.
Forget about Star Wars, this is the December 15th movie that you should have seen.
The door to freedom. Just do exactly what we do. Maybe don't do exactly as we do.
Number 11. Jumanji. Welcome to the jungle.
Yo, what's this?
A game for those who seek to find a way to leave their world behind. Jumanji.
Making a standalone sequel to a cult classic starring the late Robin Williams tells you that there's a lot to live up to. Sure, to me it's not as good as the original, but it's a fun movie in its own right. The problem is that there are a lot of little scenes in the trailers edited out of the movie that may appear in deleted scenes or in a possible extended edition. The one change between marketing and final product that bothered me the most is how the game screen looks when it's turned on, probably just to avoid spoiling too much, yet the story still feels predictable even before actually seeing the movie. There's also a whole bunch of dick jokes and other suggestive jokes that hit or miss in what is supposed to be a family movie, and the whole detention thing bothered me so much, mostly because it's unresolved when the 4 teenagers return to the real world. So wait, the original is darker and rated PG, but the follow-up is lighter and rated PG-13? That doesn't sound right. And if this is also a tribute to Robin Williams, how come there's no dedication to him anywhere in the end credits? However, the sequel is not without its praises, as it also features a cool cast, including a girly Jack Black, and the action at times leaves you on the edge of your seat. If a Jumanji 3 comes to life, it better be a board game again, and hopefully it'll be less of a light comedy like this movie, and more of a scary adventure like the original film.
Is this pound cake? Cake? Isn't that your weakness?
Something happening to me? Am I shaking? Am I still black?
Yes.
Okay, we're fine. Everything is fine. It's all good.
Number 10. The Lego Ninjago movie.
Alright guys, let's get Garmadon!
A spin-off that sounds like the Lego Movie meets Kung Fu Panda is not as great as I had imagined. However, the story is somewhat emotional and the animation is beautiful. It also has a live-action cat named Yelfra animated into the movie, the sexy voices of Abby Jacobson and Olivia Munn, and all those stunts in the movie, they were done by Jackie Chan and his stunt team. All those martial arts sequences were downright authentic, even for an anime movie.
To understand your future, you must go back to your ninja roots. Your dad was a ninja too.
The one question I gotta ask is, why the hell there are no pop culture Lego characters like in the first 2 movies? Lloyd being treated unfairly by his team in Master Wu after using the ultimate weapon, and some of the male characters like Jay and Cole being annoying also gave the movie a buzzkill. And I thought Lego Batman was annoying, but more on him later. The live-action parts of the film were fun and all, but they were also spoiled to me by the online reviews and interviews prior to release. And why in God's name are Michael Strahan and Robin Roberts yellow in this movie when they are black in real life? The whole Good Morning Ninjago thing was funny, but this seems kinda racist. Despite those flaws, this spin-off is colorful, entertaining, and has some good morals. Still, the upcoming Lego Movie sequel should definitely get the franchise back in the right path.
Lloyd, are you okay?
Yeah, I think it was my arm. Is it bad? Is it bad? I don't want to look. Scale of 1 to 10, how bad is it?
Oh, I'd say it's about a 7-point arm ripped off.
Number 9. King Arthur, Legend of the Sword.
That's what all the fuss is about.
Don't worry, you'll soon understand what all the fuss is about.
Criminally bad reviews and a loss worth $150 million later, but people still don't know what they're missing. This right here is a visually epic fantasy action flick filled with a great cast and is a feast for the eyes, even though the IMAX 3D release was cancelled, but it still deserved to be seen that way. Why the production budget ballooned from $102 to $175 million, I'll never know. But at least this movie exceeded my expectations a little bit. And hey, when you got 2 Game of Thrones actors in supporting roles, this is almost like a Game of Thrones movie for a slightly younger audience. Number 8. Beauty and the Beast.
For who could ever learn to love a beast?
Another year, another live-action Disney remake. This time we have an update on the first anime Best Picture nomination at the Oscars that does seem like a lot of shoes to fill. But this tale as old as time has amazing performances, stunning visuals and set pieces, and good songs. Okay, I'm not entirely won over by some of the changes to the songs in the animated film, but then again, the original movie doesn't hold up for me thanks to the special edition of said original and the direct-to-video sequels that followed it. This movie is no Jungle Book, but it's a beautiful and darker tale on the classic story that no doubt people of all ages are going to watch over and over again.
You think you could be happy here?
Can anybody be happy if they aren't free?
Number 7. Khan Skull Island. The second installment of Warner Bros. And Legendary's MonsterVerse is, not surprisingly, a little better than 2014's Godzilla for a good list of reasons. A badass cast portraying great characters, a Vietnam War setting, scary action, a fun story, and an epic post-credit scene is pretty much all I need to explain how great this movie is. It's hard for me to figure out whether I love this or the 2005 version of King Kong War, but this is an original Skull Island tale that's definitely worth watching. There's no dinosaurs in it, but how many more times does the story of a beautiful blonde kidnapped by a giant ape and wreaking destruction on New York need to be told?
Mark my words, there'll never be a more screwed up time in Washington. But we can't let it stop us.
Number 6. The Star.
Hang on! Cyrus! Down
I expected a left turn 2 deserts ago.
These wise guys are lost. That's it. I'm fighting through the rains.
As much as I love the movie, it was kind of hard seeing it in the theater with a bunch of annoying kids and a retarded guy. Still, it's a unique spin on the nativity with a mostly good voice cast and a decent soundtrack. I will say that Patricia Heaton as a cow is completely bland. Vin Rhames and Gabriel Iglesias sound different than usual for some strange reason for their dog characters. King Herod Soldier is completely mute and his demise is not really that epic, and it would have been nice to have more of Christopher Plummer as Herod and see what happened to him after the birth of Jesus. Maybe I will have a better time watching the holiday seasons to come on home video, but the film as a whole is a beautiful treat families should watch every Christmas.
Wait a second, are they eating chicken? Ladies, run!
Number 5. Coco.
Even Great Grandma Coco. And the winner is Luchadora Coco. I tell her pretty much everything. I used to run like this, but now I run like this. It's just way faster.
Pixar sure did save the best for last in terms of their 2 movies this year, and to no one's surprise, this animated Day of the Dead movie is better than 20th Century Fox's The Book of Life. Beautiful, heartwarming, emotional, funny, a good soundtrack, and showing a good amount of respect to the Mexican culture is pretty much all I need to say. Of course, instead of having an actual Pixar short before the movie, we got Olaf's Frozen Adventure. Sure, it was Christmas time and there were some cute kittens and puppies in there, especially in clothes, but aren't we already suffering enough with Frozen 2 coming 2019? Disney, you already tortured me with Frozen Fever shown before Cinderella, can't you just drop it already? Ah well, at least we got a quick BTS look of Coco's animation and production in between the short and the movie. I won't spoil much, but I will warn you that the trailers may be heavily misleading at one point, as there is a big twist revealed in the second half of the film that tells you that whoever you idolize may not be who they seem. Wait, did M. Night Shyamalan make this movie? No, I'm totally kidding. But is there an IMAX fan other than me shocked that the movie was shown in IMAX 2D in the first half of December? Seriously, IMAX, you're killing us here. For what it's worth and despite its flaws, Coco is one of the best Pixar movies in their library and one that will definitely win the Academy Award for Best Animated Feature.
Away you go!
It's just Dante.
Never name a street dog. They'll follow you forever. Now, go get my shoe.
Number 4. Murder on the Orient Express.
You're the world-famous detective, Hercule Poirot. Avenger of the innocent. Is that what they call you in the papers?
And you are innocent?
You're fun.
Knief Branagh's lavish adaptation of the Agatha Christie classic is set on a beautiful train and takes you on an adventure with beautiful cinematography, a great giant cast, and suspense. Select locations in New York and Los Angeles showed the film in 70mm film, and it would have been nice to see it that way. Now, being the Johnny Depp fan I am, I do hate watching his characters die, but in this case, he got what he deserved. When a man kidnaps and kills a child while ruining lives connected to that child in the process, you know that man had to die.
Cannot trust a one. Another one?
When you look at it another way, it's also like a big Johnny Depp reunion with Penelope Cruz, Judi Dench, and Michelle Pfeiffer. Also, who knew the latter can sing? Seriously, listen to Michelle Pfeiffer sing the end credits. The action is good, and the production value is dynamite, but the story behind the murder is not only shocking to those who haven't experienced the previous iteration, it's heavily heartbreaking. On the bright side, when Hercule Poirot laughs, I just gotta laugh with him because his laughing is hilarious. With a lot more Poirot stories out there, Agatha Christie's great-grandson and the whole cast would love to make sequels, and with the movie doing alright financially, here's hoping we see more of a world-famous detective with the epic mustache.
My name is Hercule Poirot, and I am probably the greatest detective in the world.
Number 3. The Lego Batman Movie.
If you want to make the world a better place, take a look at yourself and make a change. Who? No, I said that. Batman is very wise.
I didn't see this coming, but somehow better than the Lego Ninjago movie, yet still just behind the original Lego movie. A hater of DC and Batman I may be, but when you have a tight voice cast of main characters and famous people in small roles, that's only the beginning of a fun 3D ride. Aside from comedy and action, the film has a bunch of non-DC characters in Lego form, including Lord Voldemort, voiced by Eddie Izzard, King Kong, voiced by Seth Green, the Eye of Sauron, voiced by Jermaine Clement, the Gremlins, Medusa and the Kraken from Clash of the Titans, the Wicked Witch of the West and her flying monkeys from The Wizard of Oz, Agent Smith and his clones from the Matrix trilogy, a talking Jaws, the Daleks from Doctor Who, and some dinos from the Jurassic Park franchise. Wait, these characters are all from a place for villains called the Phantom Zone, but how the hell are King Kong and the JP dinos considered bad guys? Also, if Ralph Fiennes voiced Alfred Pennyworth, why couldn't he also reprise his role as Voldemort? Plus, aside from Batman's love for dumb romance flicks, a possible team name Batman tries to come up with is Fox Force 5. You know, the failed television pilot from Pulp Fiction? Now, I also didn't see this in IMAX because North America would only show it in 2D in that format, but I saw it as my first 4DX experience, and I had a blast. Put all that together with the opening song performed by Patrick Stump from Fall Out Boy in both his regular and his Batman voice, and a bunch of Michael Jackson references, and this is a Lego movie that's heavily better than what I expected.
What is the password?
Iron Man sucks.
Thank you.
Number 2. The Greatest Showman.
Girls, I think I've had an idea.
I'm hardly into musicals, let alone live-action ones, but ever since the first trailer premiered at the end of June around the same time as the first trailer for its competitor, Jumanji: Welcome to the Jungle, I knew that this movie could come out of nowhere and become one of the best films of the year, and eventually it did. Well, okay, I had doubts leading up to release for a lot of reasons, but I took it like a man and felt as amazed and moved as the first couple of times of watching the first trailer. Once in a while I still get goosebumps from listening to This Is Me, especially from the music and singers in the background other than Keala Settle. Though I will say that listening to these songs on YouTube are not as good as watching them in the movie. The appearances of Zac Efron from the Disney Channel and Zendaya from the god-awful Spider-Man Homecoming were putting me off before seeing it, along with the impending failure of its Oscar campaign and learning what really happened back in the day, but I did the impossible and managed to ignore all of that while seeing it in the theater. The cast and dazzling production values are great, the music is highly memorable, and it's just a flat-out feast for the eyes. It may not tell the real story behind P.T. Barnum's life, and it may become failed Oscar bait due to the unfair mixed reviews, but it's an inspiring masterpiece that should not be ignored.
No one ever made a difference by being like everyone else.
Now before I discuss my all-time favorite movie of 2017, let's do a recap of the previous 21 movies. Pirates of the Caribbean, Dead Men Tell No Tales.
No, it can't be. I've spent years searching for this. The great Jack Sparrow is not some drunk in a cell. Do we even have a ship? A crew? Pants?
A great pirate does not require such intricacies.
Do you know how long I've been waiting for this moment? The risks I've taken to be here. Are you sure you're the Jack Sparrow?
What else will be my #1 movie of the year other than the epic 6-year wait in this criminally underrated franchise? As to why it is, I'll try to keep this short. Jack Sparrow's comeback, Javier Bardem as the undead villain Armando Salazar, mind-blowing action visual effects, ghost sharks, the 10-year return of Orlando Bloom, and even Keira Knightley, and plenty of unexpected innuendos. This sexual reference right here is my favorite.
I'm not only an astronomer, I'm also a horologist.
No shame in that, dear. I mean, we all have to earn a living, eh? Wasn't it?
No, I'm a horologist.
So was my mum, but she didn't crow about it as loud as you.
You saying your mother was academically inclined?
More like horizontally reclined.
Horology is the study of time.
And she was always looking at her watch.
I could vouch for that.
The problem is that it's my least favorite POTC movie, just behind the first for a few good reasons. Brendan Thwaites and Casco Del Ario are not as engaging as Orlando and Keira, but as their characters fight for what they believe in, they are surrounded by gut-wrenching prejudice from the British Army and the Royal Navy. Other issues include a certain secret from Barbossa that wind my eyes a bit, it hard to understand, not much Salazar, Jack's rising ego, no Keith Richards, and that gross Wayne scene that will hurt your eyes and brain.
What a truly revolting sight.
All this as I've been having stomach problems while seeing it in IMAX 3D. At least we have Paul McCartney and his Uncle Jack to take Keith's place, and of all the post-credit scenes in the series, this one might be the best. No spoilers here for those who haven't seen it unless you've already looked it up on the internet, but it does kind of tell you what we can expect for Pirates of the Caribbean 6. Now, if only we get more out of Angelica than that Jack Sparrow voodoo doll she held onto from the post-credit scene of On Stranger Tides. A fan can hope.
Make way! Captain Jack Sparrow on deck! Indeed!
Those were my top 20 best movies of 2017. Thank you so much for watching. If you liked what you saw, check out my other videos on movie reviews, thoughts, auditions, and so on. Here's to the year that was, and I will see you next time.
Bye, Felicia.